with only 24 days remaining until the highly anticipated 2024 presidential election. The political scene is experiencing a dramatic and unexpected shift, and former President Donald Trump, who had previously been trailing in most of the critical battleground states, is now leading in all 7 of the states that are likely to determine the election's outcome. This sudden change has left political experts and commentators stunned. Just a month ago, the idea of Trump gaining ground in these swing states seemed far-fetched. But the tide has turned, and it couldn't have happened at a more crucial moment for his campaign as we approach the final stretch before Election Day. One of the most striking developments is a recent election forecast from Pauly Marcus, a well-regarded political analyst. Marcus now places Trump's chances of winning at a solid 55, which marks the highest point for the former president's prospects since August. This is significant because in the world of politics, momentum is everything, especially in the final days of a campaign. These last few weeks leading up to the election are often when the tide turns, and Trump seems to have captured that all-important momentum at just the right time. Today, we're going to delve deeply into the latest polling data and try to understand how Trump has managed to shift the tide in these pivotal swing states. But this isn't just going to be a discussion about numbers and percentages. And so we're going to explore the underlying factors contributing to Trump's resurgence, take a close look at each of the key states individually, and dissect what this shift in momentum means for the overall election. This is a critical moment in American politics, and understanding what's happening beneath the surface is key to predicting how Election Day will play out. Well, first, let's take a step back and consider the electoral map. Many states are considered safe for one candidate or the other, meaning they aren't expected to be particularly competitive. So, for example, states like California and New York are virtually guaranteed to go to the Democrats, while states like Texas and Alabama are solid Republican strongholds. But it's the swing states, the ones where the outcome is uncertain, that really matter in determining the next president. In this election, the most important battlegrounds are Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. These 7 states hold the key to the presidency, and they are where we are seeing Trump's resurgence come to life. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. At this point, according to the most recent polling data, Trump is leading in nearly all of these battleground states. This is a significant development because these states collectively represent a large chunk of the electoral votes needed to win the presidency. There are 538 electoral votes in total, and a candidate needs at least 270 to secure victory. Trump's recent gains in these states suggest that he is inching closer to that magic number. Let's take a deeper dive into each of these states to understand what's happening and why Trump is now the front runner in so many of them. Let's start with Nevada, a state where Trump has recently taken the lead by a slim margin of just 0.2. While that might not seem like much, it's a major shift given that Kamala Harris, who replaced Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee following Biden's decision to step down, had been leading in Nevada since August. In fact, a poll conducted by the Wall Street Journal recently showed Trump ahead by a substantial 6, which has given his campaign a major boost. Nevada has been a traditionally difficult state for Republicans to win, so Trump's lead here is significant. That's relevant, though, and if this trend continues, I predict that Trump will narrowly win Nevada by around 1 to 2 percentage points. Let's not forget how Nevada played out in 2020. Back then, Joe Biden was leading in the state by an average of 5.3 going into Election Day, yet he only won by 2.4. This kind of polling myth suggests that Trump's support may be underrepresented in Nevada, a phenomenon we've seen in previous elections. If this underestimation of Trump's base happens again, we could see Trump not only win Nevada, but potentially exceed expectations. Or the betting markets currently give Harris a slight edge. But considering Trump's recent surge, I would argue that Nevada should now be classified as tilt red on the electoral map, meaning it's leaning Republican, but still competitive. Winning Nevada would be more than just a symbolic victory for Trump. It would also mark a return of Republican influence in the state, which hasn't gone red since George W. Bush won in 2004. However, Nevada only has 6 electoral votes, so while it's a crucial piece of the puzzle, Trump will need to win other key states to secure the presidency. Still, if Trump can win Nevada, it would be a strong indication that his overall strategy is working, especially in other states in the Southwest. Next, let's move on to Arizona, another critical state that played a major role in the 2020 election. Arizona flipped to the Democrats in 2020 when Joe Biden won the state by just 0.31. It was a razor-thin margin, and now Trump has regained the upper hand, leading by an average of win. Harris has struggled to close that gap ever since she took over the Democratic ticket. And this is particularly noteworthy because Arizona was one of the key states that cost Trump the presidency in 2020. Anyways, if he can flip it back to red, it will be a monumental victory for his campaign. They say when you compare Trump's current standing in Arizona to where Biden was at the same point in 2020, the contrast is clear. Biden was projected to win Arizona by 2.6, but he ended up squeaking by with less than a 1 margin. This underperformance suggests that polling in Arizona may not always be accurate, and Trump's current margin could mean he is actually in a stronger position than it appears on paper. Betting markets seem to agree with this assessment, consistently favoring Trump to win Arizona. Now, Harris did see a small bump in the polls after the Democratic convention. Trump has since regained his advantage. If the current trends hold, I believe Trump will win Arizona by 1-2, or even more if polling continues to underestimate his support. An Arizona victory would be a game changer for Trump, not just because of the 11 electoral votes at stake, but because it would signal that Arizona's 2020 flip was more of a temporary anomaly than a permanent shift toward the Democrats. I'm marking Arizona as lean red on the electoral map, indicating that Trump is now the favorite to win the state by a small but important margin. Let's now turn to Georgia, another pivotal state where Trump has managed to pull ahead. Currently, Trump is leading by about 0.5 in the polling average, and this lead is consistent out of the 9 most recent polls conducted in Georgia. Trump is ahead in 7, with 2 showing a tie. This is a significant development because Georgia went blue in 2020 for the first time since 1992, with Biden narrowly winning the state by just 0.42. Trump's lead here suggests that Georgia may be returning to its traditional Republican roots in this election cycle. Georgia has historically been a Republican stronghold, and Trump's steady lead here indicates that 2020 may have been an outlier rather than a sign of a long-term shift. Trump's base in Georgia appears to be highly motivated, and barring any major surprises, I expect Trump to win the state by around 2. That's comparable to his margin of victory in 2016 when he won by 5 points. Additionally, the recent re-election of Republican Governor Brian Kemp in 2022 shows that the GOP remains strong in the state. I'm marking Georgia as lean red on my electoral map, meaning I expect Trump to win it by a solid margin. North Carolina is another key battleground where Trump has maintained a consistent lead throughout the campaign. Trump won North Carolina in both 2016 and 2020, and he appears to be on track to win it again in 2024. As of now, Trump holds a 0.5 lead in the polling average, and nearly all recent polls show him ahead. What's striking about North Carolina is how stable Trump's lead has been. Even during periods when his campaign was struggling in other states, his position in North Carolina has remained solid, which speaks to the strength of his base in the state. In the 2020 election, the polls predicted that Biden would win North Carolina by about 1.8, but Trump ultimately won by 1.3. This discrepancy between the polls and the final results suggests that Trump's support may have been undercounted in North Carolina, a trend we could see repeated in 2024. The betting markets currently give Trump a 63% chance of winning the state, and I think that's a reasonable assessment. While there is some controversy surrounding the gubernatorial race, I don't believe it will have a significant impact on Trump's chances in the presidential election. I expect Trump to win North Carolina by around 2 which would be slightly better than his margin in 2020. On my electoral map, I'm placing North Carolina in the lean red category. At this point, with 4 key battleground states, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, leaning toward Trump. He's getting closer to the 270 electoral votes needed to secure victory. However, the remaining swing states will be crucial in determining whether he crosses that threshold. Pennsylvania is a state that's always closely contested in presidential elections, and in 2024, it's no different. Currently, Trump is leading Harris by 1.5 in the polling average. This is a huge swing in Trump's favor, especially considering that Harris had been leading here by a small margin as recently as September. In 2020, Biden won Pennsylvania by just 1.2, making it one of the most critical battlegrounds. But this time around, Trump is performing even better than he was at this point in the 2020 cycle. Polling averages show Trump up by 1.5, and betting markets give him a 58% chance of winning the state. If Trump can maintain his lead in Pennsylvania, it will likely flip back to the Republican column, which would be a major gain for his campaign. Pennsylvania is crucial because it carries 19 electoral votes and winning, it would push Trump closer to the 270 vote threshold needed to win the presidency. I'm marking Pennsylvania as lean red on my map, meaning I expect Trump to win the state if current trends continue. Michigan is another battleground state where Trump is gaining momentum. A few weeks ago, Michigan was considered a safe state for Harris, but recent polling shows Trump pulling it into a virtual tie. This is a dramatic shift, especially considering that Harris had been leading by around Fort Illinois September. The betting markets have taken notice of this shift as Harris's odds of winning Michigan have dropped from 68 to just 49, while Trump is now slightly favored to win. And Dizemo over the Trump can continue his upward trend in Michigan. He could flip the state, adding another 15 electoral votes to his total. I'm marking Michigan as tilt red on my map, indicating that it's a toss-up, but with Trump gaining the upper hand. If Trump does win Michigan, it would be another significant victory for his campaign. Finally, let's talk about Wisconsin, the last key swing state in this election. Harris is still leading here, but just barely her lead has shrunk to a razor-thin 0.3. Wisconsin is known for its unpredictability. In 2020, Biden was expected to win the state by 8.4, but he ended up winning by less than. Given how polling has missed the mark in Wisconsin before, and with the trends we're seeing in neighboring Michigan and Pennsylvania, it wouldn't be surprising if Trump manages to overtake Harris in the coming days. And Trump wins Wisconsin, it would add to his growing electoral count and further solidify his position as the frontrunner. I'm marking Wisconsin as tilt blue for now, but it's very much a toss-up that could go either way. In conclusion, based on the current polling data and historical trends, Trump is on track to win 6 out of the 7 key swing states, which would give him a decisive electoral victory. If he manages to sweep all 7 swing states, a scenario that's not out of the question given polling errors in past elections, he could end up with over 300 electoral votes. This would be a remarkable comeback for the former president, who was trailing in many of these states just a few months ago. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this analysis helpful, make sure to comment, and subscribe for more updates as we continue tracking this historic election. Stay tuned for more political analysis as we get closer to Election Day.